6 sensories falling in love with married 5 sensories, do's and don'ts. So why do 6 sensories get into the situation where they've fallen in love with a 5 sensory who's married? And this applies too for 5 sensories in very long-term committed relationships, and we'll talk about a few scenarios. The first scenario is that the 5 sensory is married, or maybe they're in a long-term relationship and the relationship isn't as thrilling as it used to be. And so this person has decided, rather than end the relationship, maybe that feels too uncomfortable, they want to pursue something on the side instead. They want to find the next boat and line it up so they're not swimming in the water on their own as a single person. They want to have something to jump to before they jump out of their relationship. And the way that they approach doing that is they use a lot of charms and a lot of beautiful, flattering words. They may tell you that you're beautiful or handsome or incredibly talented or so smart and so educated, so successful, really got their things together, really independent. There's so many different compliments now, and it can really vary. It depends on the person. Maybe they even make you feel really witnessed. Maybe they say that they see your spiritual side and that you are a gift to the world and you will make a great difference. And the more they get to know you, the more personalized they can make their compliments. And then the more the 6 sensory might feel like they're falling in love with the 5 sensory. And then the 5 sensory will say something like, I do have a relationship and this person is going to commit suicide if I leave them. Or I am married and I have children, and my children, I've got to look after them until they're the age where they can go off to college or university, or maybe they can babysit themselves. Or maybe it's that they share property together and that if they get out of the property at this time, they will have lost a huge amount of money. And so they can't afford to sell the property and leave their partner. There are so many reasons that can sound very logical, and then their compliments can sound so convincing. So I'll first start with the don'ts in terms of what to do if a 6 sensory is falling in love with a 5 sensory person. The first don't is to take everything that they're saying at face value and understand that there is a deeper message, there's a deeper situation going on below the surface of the words that they say to you. So 5 sensories can sometimes be better than 6 sensories at articulating a very convincing argument. And what they may keep concealed are ugly truths like, it's inconvenient to leave my partner and hurt their feelings. It's inconvenient to tell them the truth. Or it's inconvenient to continue being bored in my family and nagged when I really just want some freedom and some excitement on a given day. Instead, they're putting forward words that are really charming you. And if they know you well or you have an internet presence, they could be really tailoring their compliments to match whatever you're putting out into the world. And that can feel so good. You can feel like this 5 sensory really gets me, they're really validating me and making me feel like a good person. And of course, if they had met me 10 years ago, of course we would have married and we would have lived happily ever after. Their situation with their current partner wouldn't have happened because their current partner is not a very wise person and they made some bad decisions. There are a lot of justifications and conclusions that we can come to in our minds. And our emotional heart, the greedy heart, can make all kinds of justifications to say something is okay, and that we deserve to have a happy relationship and it's right there waiting in front of us. Why can't we just go ahead and pursue that relationship? It's my fairy tale ending. It's finally my time. There are all these compelling arguments that we've heard growing up. And unfortunately, the people who are the best at charming, just as a wake-up call and giving you compliments, this is a skill. This is something they've learned. So when they're giving you the compliment, it is tailored to you, I suppose, in the sense that they've made an effort to tailor it. But having said that, they've given compliments to people before. They've been charming to others and gotten to know who they are and made them feel witnessed. They have flattered people and made other people feel good in the past. And what these 5 sensories are looking for is not really true love. They're looking more for an adventure on the side that doesn't make them feel like they have to do the uncomfortable thing of getting a divorce or getting broken up or losing their home. And as homes get more and more complicated to attain and more expensive, I imagine more spouses, more girlfriends and boyfriends are going to act out in these ways from time to time when they come across another attractive person. And we all need to become aware of that. So we don't want to believe what these 5 sensories are saying. You know, we don't want to trust that they are going to break up with the relationship properly or that they are going to get divorced. It's one of the oldest tricks I've seen happen even in high school, where the boys would be dating a girl and the girl would be threatening to commit suicide if the boy left her. And sometimes it might even be true because we're teenagers and we haven't grown up yet. Having said that, it's also a very fabulous excuse for the 5 sensory to get away with their fun and to have their cake and eat it too. And so when we hear that as 6 sensories, we really have to get good at tuning into our intuition and hearing what's really going on underneath the words, the things that people are too uncomfortable or don't want to reveal to the other person. Because that's the real message that's going on when we're considering the do's and don'ts of actually dating somebody who is married or already in a relationship. Now, here's what you should do as a 6 sensory if you feel like you're in love with a married 5 sensory or a 5 sensory who's already in a relationship that's committed and long term. What you should do is work on your self-love, because if you're willing to show to the world that you've fallen in love with a 5 sensory who's unavailable because they're married or in a relationship, you are showing to the world, unfortunately, that you're insecure, you know? And unfortunately, some of us 6 sensories, we do have unique spiritual experiences. And when not many people have had the same unique spiritual experiences, it can leave us feeling insecure and really, really wanting to be validated by others. And so the first person who comes along and really witnesses us and flatters us and makes us feel good, it's tempting to go for them, even if they appear unavailable. You might think they have compelling arguments. I understand the situation they're in, and I am a spiritually elevated person. We will figure this out. I am the superhero or I am the superheroine, and I can make it okay. But truthfully, you can't make it okay. Like, as powerful as we are as 6 sensories, we can win over people with our charms. We can get 5 sensories really interested in us in spite of their committed relationships, but it's not wise to go there. It's never wise to go there. And also, when we're more spiritually powerful and we do have our intuition, you know, and we are elevated and sharing wisdom with others, our life lessons get bigger, but we're also more responsible for whatever decisions we do make in life. So if we make the wrong one and we go into somebody's family, maybe they have kids, maybe they don't, but even if somebody doesn't have kids, but they're in a long-term relationship, that person has parents on the other side. The person that's being cheated on also has friends. They have their self-esteem, and those things get damaged when we jump into something. And that, I do believe it does create karma. Not every intuitive believes in karma, but I do believe that it does create karma because we're creating suffering for others. And unfortunately, it's becoming a more common occurrence that people are just jumping ship in their relationships. When you watch things like reality shows, you see the person's in a relationship and then they turn their head for the next attractive person who's flattering them like so quickly. And I think it could be tougher for more attractive people, actually, because the more attractive you are, the more cunning and attractive people come after you, and it's so easy to get sucked into all of that flattery. But it's not just looks that people are attracted to. People are attracted to energy. And so when you're an awakened 6 sensory, people, even if they don't believe the same things you do, can be very attracted to your confidence. And so they'll try to win you over, and they may not be out of their current relationship yet. Or maybe an ex comes after you, but they still have another relationship on the side, or vice versa. Maybe it's the new relationship that gets destroyed and the old relationship that ends up being rekindled. But in any situation like this, it creates a mess. It creates a big mess. And we hurt each other as human beings when we're not loyal in our relationships. And so what you want to do instead of falling in love with someone who's married or unavailable as a sixth sensory is really work on your self-love. And I have a self-love group on Facebook. I'm going to link it below if that's something you feel called to work on and something you want to explore. I really highly recommend it, because when you do the work of self-love, you start becoming immune to the charms of other people who may flatter you, who may validate you and make you feel really good, but don't have the best intentions. And as our ability to love ourselves grow, our intuition actually grows too. They complement each other. The more we love ourselves, the more the intuition can tell us, hey, that person is flattering you to have their fun. Maybe that's not a good relationship to get involved in. Maybe they want something even in the moment, but it's not going to work out good long term. In fact, aside from overt relationship cheating, what I'm noticing coming up in relationships recently too, as an intuitive, is sometimes people want to get together. They're very attracted to each other and they're just not well matched. Like their futures don't gel together. One person wants to have a dog and the other person doesn't. Or one person wants to have kids, the other doesn't, and one person wants to live in a certain kind of house in a certain kind of place, and the other person wants a smaller place in the city, and the other one wants some place in the country. Like there are a million things like that where if you disagree, it's not easy to change, and the attraction can pull you into that relationship, but ultimately it ends in a lot of pain. And so we have to have the wisdom to discern that too. But people who turn their heads, this is a very obvious one to fix. And that's why I created the video about this today. And what you want to do, if you're ever in that situation where you're so tempted and you're so attracted, it means that you really have to work on loving yourself first. Love the parts of you that are willing to grow, that are willing to watch videos like this, or go to workshops, or invest money in coaching and mentoring and guiding, because that part of you is the part of you that wants to grow, and that's what's going to save you from some of these difficult, dark situations that come up and potentially cause karma in life. You do not have to jump into the karma. You do not have to get sucked into that seduction of five sensories, and they do have a lot of games. And maybe one day, if that's something you're interested in as an audience, maybe I'll put together a games product where I share with you about some of the common five sensory games that are out there. But I think my free videos share a lot of them too, and you can learn a lot just from watching my series if you look at my newbies playlist. But my point at the end of this video is, if somebody in a committed relationship is coming after you, you have to love yourself enough to walk away. Because if you don't, you're going to get pulled into something that's going to cause a lot of pain, not only for you, but also for others.